he goes back to the apartment crying, screaming, throwing up, wild sliding, everything you could possibly. I've never seen a grown man throw a tantrum the way that he did. JR and Sandy are playing a dangerous game with this man because he did not look like he was playing. Welcome to Vida Rosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today we're going to be talking about The Ultimatum Season 3, Episodes 4 and 5. So if you'd like to see more, then just stay tuned. But before we begin, I would like for everyone to check out my website, thevidarosastyle.com, where you can find cute accessories like the earrings I'm wearing now. I have these in white and in ice blue, as well as the rest of my Christmas collection. Make sure you check out that link down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into this video. I was binge watching the show, and I actually stopped on episode 4 because I was completely flabbergasted by the fact that 2 whole couples dropped out. And they packed all their stuff up and left like a thief in the night. We don't even have any confessionals from these people. Were they being held hostage and we had no idea? It feels as if they didn't even tell production they were leaving, because we only got security footage and we got reactions from the partners of people that got left, but these people just dipped. Dave, Vanessa, Micah, and Chanel secretly met off camera, and I guess they got in cahoots and said they all wanted to quit at once. I don't know. We still haven't heard their side of the story. They barely made it to day 3. I feel like they were dead wrong for not letting the people know who they were, in the trial marriage with. They could have at least wrote a note or something like that. It's really unfair to everyone else in the process because it kind of ruins the experiment for everyone. And I get it, you have free will. You could leave whenever you want to. But just the way they went about it just felt so cowardly. I honestly feel like the men were extremely manipulative to the women to get them to leave, because before they left, we see Micah texting Chanel at 3 o'clock in the morning, telling her to meet him, and they stay out till 8 a.m. And it just, we saw how he was crying before they even got split up. We saw how Dave was begging and pleading to be back with Vanessa and asking to leave with Vanessa. And, pretty much when he didn't get the attention that he thought he was going to get from the women, now he wants to come back crying and begging and on his knees trying to get her to leave with him. So it does feel like they all got in cahoots to try to manipulate the women to leave. Because at the end of the day, for those who left with those men, are y'all getting married? Are y'all going to get proposed to? Like, are y'all going to actually get what y'all want from this relationship? I do think the premise of this show is crazy. I do think it's non-productive, but is leaving any better? Seems like y'all are just gonna go straight back to what y'all were trying to get out of. And so after they left, it kind of felt like, what's the point of watching any further? Why did y'all invest so much time into these couples that just ended up dipping in the first place? It just felt like a whole waste of time. Hello? And then, I don't know how true this is, but I did hear that Nick wasn't treating Vanessa right behind the scenes, and that's one of the main reasons why she wanted to leave. Kind of sounds like a convenient excuse, but I guess we'll hear more from them as time goes on. I heard everyone showed up to the reunion except for one couple. Not sure who that couple was, but maybe we'll get more answers then. Nick and Mariah were left without a partner, and they both continued the experiment pretty much living alone. And I don't understand why they just didn't partner up and just do it together, even though they don't have any sort of chemistry or they don't have a bond necessarily. At least they will have a distraction from being alone and focusing on their partners being with someone else. Nick was being a very angsty artist and just being very aggressive with his paint strokes and aggressively making art. Then we have Arya and Caleb. They have very cute interactions. I said on my last review, I think they will actually make a great couple. I feel like both of them connect better with each other than with their own partners. Caleb said that Mariah has this blind faith in him, and it scares him because she can't give a reasoning as to why she loves him, but she just gives him this everlasting love. And if you can't say why you love someone, it makes him scared that they'll easily be able to take their love back. And I could kind of see where he's coming from, because you should be able to give some sort of reasons why. I would love to hear her side of that. Arya starts talking about her parents and how at one point they had an open relationship and she saw women coming in and out. And then one day her mom randomly told her that they were getting a divorce while she was asking her information about her FAFSA. I thought that was kind of weird. Like, you would think that would be more of a serious conversation, but apparently the mom didn't want to get too deep with that. Because of that, she doesn't really trust men. Caleb is refreshing for her because he creates a safe space for her to be able to build a friendship and be open, and he just is very considerate of her. She's not used to that. She feels that she doesn't show enough appreciation to Scotty for what he does. Even though she says thank you, she doesn't really show him enough. And Caleb said that he shouldn't have to be dependent upon you to make him feel like he's doing the right thing. He should just want to do it. I do feel like they're kind of falling for each other in like the most platonic, wholesome way possible. Like, I'm sure this is the way every person that comes on this show wants for their partner to interact very respectfully. I could tell that she was catching feelings for Caleb when she said she would lie in bed and pray that Scotty would start acting like Caleb. I was like, oh, this girl is in deep with him. She done fell for him already. Right before they were about to meet with the other participants in the process, she tells him that she wants to be honest with Mariah and say that she's developed an emotional connection with him. And he is very against that. He doesn't want her to do that. And we'll see at the end of the episode how she handles this. So then we have Zena and Scotty. I don't know. I feel like both of them are very performative. First, I thought maybe they could have had a connection, but they are trying to promote themselves in one way or another. You can't tell me otherwise. He talks about how his mother is concerned about him getting married, and he turned around and asked her what age would she like to have kids. And I feel like he knew to ask that question because on the first day she said she wanted to freeze her eggs. And so she still feels the same way. She feels like by the time you hit 35, that is high risk pregnancy, so she wants to freeze her eggs right now. I believe she's 32. He says that he doesn't want to be an older parent. He doesn't want to wait too long before he becomes a father, and I feel like there's a deal breaker right there between them, a reason why they probably wouldn't work, because I don't think she necessarily wants to have kids right now. That's why she's freezing her eggs. He tells her that he feels that she sidesteps emotions and uses humor to mask whatever she's truly feeling. And she says she has to have the right safe space to open up. She asked him what's one thing that he regrets in life, the biggest thing he regrets in life. And she said one day his dad was disciplining him. He was going in on him, and he got so upset that when his dad said I love you, he never said it back. And then the next day his dad unexpectedly passed away. And he said he has severe regret over that, and it's pretty much trauma inducing, and it makes him want to hold his family very near and dear. He prioritizes his family, and that's why he wants to have his own family. He let them know that he's questioning whether or not he actually wants to be married to Arya at this point, because Zena is making him have second thoughts. Her friend met him and said she still loves JR better and would be so upset if they broke up. And I thought that was very awkward. But Zena made it clear that even if JR proposed tomorrow, she would most likely say no. And like I said, I feel like both of them are being very performative. I I doubt they would actually leave together. And if they did, it wouldn't last. So later, they had a weird interaction where he proposed some dates for her. First, he said, well, would you like to go on a hot air balloon? And she was like, no, that would be very anxiety inducing. I don't think I would have any fun doing that. He then was like, would you like to do cryotherapy? And she was like, well, I'm very opposed to being cold. And, you know, she just kept going on and on and on about how she would not want to do that. That's not something she would ever try. And he kind of caught an attitude and said, well, I guess I won't take you any. I guess you don't want to go on a date with me. She was like, no, that's not necessarily what I meant. And he asked her, well, would you rather go on dinner dates? And she was like, no, I like to do different things. But she seems like the type that would like to do dinner and a movie, very basic dates. She wants to be wine and dined. I don't think she wants to do much outside of that. Now, yes, he only gave 2 suggestions, but he gave adventurous suggestions. And it, you know, from her reactions, it seemed like she wouldn't want to do something like that. He let her know that he had a problem with rejection. She feels like he's being too sensitive because you only gave me 2 options and you got mad off of that. And I agree with her on that. But I also think she was being a bit dismissive and closed-minded when it came to the things that he did come up with. I kind of see why both of them are in the position that they are. Neither one of them seem like they're willing to compromise or like they're open to others' opinions. It's kind of like my way or the highway with them. So then we have Sandy and JR. Okay, so she ran into Nick and he was still very upset that I guess that she coupled up with JR. Like, you would think he was being held here hostage, not that he's the one that signed them up to do this. The way he is being so dramatic, he just cannot handle the emotions that come with being on this show. But she's fully loving the drama, by the way. She's trying to act like she doesn't, but she loves it. He thinks that JR is just there to mess around and that's all they're gonna do when they're together. And I honestly don't think that he's that far off from the truth, but you probably would think that with any guy she got with. And plus, he's probably very intimidated and feels like he's not as attractive as JR and feels like JR could snatch her away from him. Then she told him that they kissed each other. When Sandy was retelling this story to JR looked very shook. Like, it was one point in time where he was just stuck looking off into space because he already knows that as soon as Zena hears that, she is not going to be happy about that at all. Okay, because as much as the other couples might be getting close, they didn't cross the line of kissing. Even though Sandra was going off about Nick, he in the back of his mind knows that he's in trouble with Zena as soon as she hears that. Once Sandra found out that Vanessa left the experiment, she was really upset. And I think the main reason why she was upset was not that Vanessa left him alone, was that she knew that now he was going to be 100% obsessed with ruining whatever experience she has left with JR. I wrote down a bunch of notes about the conversations that they had, but I just feel like everything was very superficial, even though they try, oh, it's so deep, we have these deep conversations. I haven't heard them have a deep conversation once. Oh, he wants to have 3 boys and a girl. She wants to have girls. They had a bowling date, and whoever won, if she won, he had to cook. If he won, she had to wear one of his shirts to bed, and that's it. Like, he's very neurotic about his food, almost like he has an eating disorder. I don't know. It was coming off kind of like an eating disorder because, well, what if I whip out a scale when we go to dinner? That's weird. And she told him how weird that was. She told him that she's been cheated on, but she has never cheated in a relationship. She feels like she gets to know the real him, the side that he never shows anybody. And so then he met her family, her friends, her mom. The mom acted like she wanted to be up on JR, like she wanted JR for herself, okay? But they all loved him. They had a great outing. They didn't really question him too much. They just, whatever he said, oh, they were just swooning over him. Nick has been seething from the shadows. he's been pretty much watching from a distance, looking at them through the window from his place, just staring, and it's been making them uncomfortable. But nothing quite got Nick as upset until he found out that JR met her mother and her family, and that truly caused him to spiral like we've never seen before. And I knew he was going to spiral when he saw that, but I didn't think we would actually see him lose it the way that he did. So he picks up the phone and calls her over and over, just bombarding her phone with messages and phone calls, and is just crying to her, saying that he's scared he's gonna lose her. It was pretty bad on the episode that he found out that she kissed JR, but it was even worse. Like, he was wailing. At least that's what the subtitles said he was doing. You know, she really wasn't giving him the time of day on that phone. She wasn't giving him much of a response at all. And he's not used to that. He's used to being able to provoke her and her have an attitude back. So even though he's the one who signed her up for all of this, this is your doing. You chose to do this. You chose to bring her here. He crashed all the way out and showed up at their door. First of all, how do you even know where they live? I guess he's been doing his Joe from you and spying on them, so I guess that's how he figured it out. JR answered the door and he let him know, like, she don't want to talk to you. Closes the door in his face. He starts banging on the door again and just getting really aggressive, and JR told him that, you know, she doesn't want to talk to you, you need to leave. She had to come out and say, I don't want to talk to you, you need to leave. And he starts to pick a fight with JR, and at some point they get him to leave and she blocks him, and he goes back to the apartment crying, screaming, throwing up, wild sliding, everything you could possibly. I've never seen a grown man throw a tantrum the way that he did. Like, that was kind of scary. That I was like, they need to keep an eye on him, because that made me a little nervous. JR and Sandy are playing a dangerous game with this man, because he did not look like he was playing. So then everybody meets up together. The women meet together and the men meet with each other. Sandy is going on and on about how she feels handcuffed in this experience by him, and he's just not dealing with his feelings well. This is what Mariah is saying, because she spent some time with him. She's saying he's not dealing with his feelings and he's trying to escape through his art. Sandy said, if you can't even show up for yourself, how are you supposed to show up for me in this relationship? And I don't agree with Sandy with a lot, but she's right on that. Like, he's very unstable, and I don't see how a relationship, especially with him wanting to be somebody's husband, I don't know how that's possible right now. He needs help. So then Sandy sits down with Zena. She lets her know that there's nothing between them except for them trying to get the most out of this experience. They're not hooking up. They're not into each other, even though they kissed. So I'm like, so you just gonna straight up lie to this woman face like that? Like, you don't have any feelings for him at all, and y'all be all in this pool all over each other. Y'all constantly flirting with each other. And then she had the nerve to say, I'm trying to train him up for you, Zena. I'm trying to show him how he needs to be a good husband for you. I hope you don't get knocked out at this reunion. Because all of that was unnecessary. She didn't have to lie that hard. So then Arya sits down and has a conversation with Mariah. And, you know, she tells Mariah, yeah, you tend to over communicate with him while he's away, and he feels like you don't trust him. And that's not something that I do, and I feel like that's something you can learn from me from. And she didn't say it like that, but that was the tone that she delivered that message with. Mariah was like, I thought I was just being a healthy communicator by, you know, just saying everything that was on my mind and not holding anything back. This is where Arya said, well, sometimes when you've been in nothing but toxic relationships, you can turn out to be the toxic one in a healthy relationship. And I'm like, Arya, you're being very presumptuous of their relationship. Why does she feel like she has the authority to speak on how she is in a relationship with Caleb? Y'all's relationship is totally different with one another. But she did go ahead and let her know that she's falling for Caleb, even though that's something Caleb didn't want her to say. She felt the need to be honest, because if you're not honest now, it will hurt the relationship later. And I agree with her on that, but she came in with the energy like she was trying to break them up. So then we see the men meet up with each other. When Nick walked in, he immediately starts profusely apologizing to JR and trying to explain why he was acting a fool the way he was, just trying to get ahead of being checked. That didn't stop JR from checking him. He claims that he's never spiraled this hard in his life, and JR is like, are you spiraling because she chose me? And he's like, no, I, whatever. And JR is like, I lost a lot of respect for you when you came knocking on the door in the middle of the night being disrespectful. Nick was like, well, there's a lot that you don't know about. She's been texting me talking about I miss you, sending mixed messages. And JR told him, well, you're making it easy for her to make the decision not to marry you by your behavior. And JR starts talking about all the things that he loves about Sandy. And Nick was about to lose it right then and there at that table. That was about to be his 13th reason. He was about to go crazy. So then we have Caleb talking to Scotty. And Caleb completely downplays any sort of romantic feelings that he might have for Arya. And he's pretty much saying that he's not pursuing her in that way. And I could believe him. Because he's been very platonic with her. Everything they've been doing has been on a friend level and very wholesome. So I could believe that Arya is falling for him and he's not necessarily in that same space. You know what I'm saying? Scotty doesn't believe him at all, though. He thinks there's no heterosexual male on this earth that wouldn't be into Arya. Caleb said that he just wants him to have that conversation with Arya himself, because he already knows Arya is liking me. That don't mean I'm necessarily liking her. Scotty tells JR that he needs to give Zena more space to be vulnerable with him. He said he's not giving this advice out of how he may feel about JR. And JR said, are you sure? Because he's heard things that Scotty supposedly has said about him. And there are rumors out there that JR was only participating in this process for a hall pass. And I could believe it. I could believe that JR is there for a hall pass, and I could believe that Scotty said it. Even though he's completely denying it, he's asking where he heard this from, and JR is not willing to say where he heard it from. He must have heard it from Zena. But he's pretty solid on the fact that Scotty said it. He said he feels that he told Zena that in order to get her to open up. Like I said, Scotty kept denying it and saying you don't have proof. He was like, I don't have proof. That's why I'm confronting you about it. And so he was kind of having a little attitude, and Scotty confronted him like, why are you mad? And JR claims not to be mad, but he definitely looks irritated. He just tells a group that he and Sandy have a real connection, and it's not just for him to be rubbing all on her or whatever. And that's when Nick hopped in and said, well, does that mean you're sleeping together? At first he said, well, we all are sleeping in the bed with our trial partners. And he was like, that's not what I asked. JR never truly answered that question. He just sat there looking. Nick just went ahead and accused JR of intentionally trying to break up his relationship with Sandy. And he just said, you're validating all my worst fears of what I thought was going on. Like, I thought the worst, and you're confirming that for me. And it left off on a cliffhanger. I don't know. You would think it would be entertaining to watch Nick lose it like that. Like, this man is so unhinged. But it's actually scary, and I'm concerned. Like, this man looks like he could hurt someone if they're not careful. Yeah, I'm scared. I'm nervous for everybody involved. But y'all let me know what y'all think down below. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? I'd love to hear your opinion. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.